Part 57. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 561. The three of Guyao took out 3 low-grade immortal artifacts, and they were only able to make up for the 3 of them. It was thanks to the fact that one of the 3 immortal artifacts was a low-grade middle-grade immortal stone at a discount of 150 immortal stones, so the 3 of them were in Dingling. With the help, I successfully bought 3 lower class tickets, and I still have 50 immortal stones left on my body. When the spaceship was about to take off, the 3 of them clasped their fists and thanked Ding Ling again. I will definitely come back to see Senior Ding if I have the opportunity. Senior Ding is very precious. You all have to take care, regardless of whether the 3 of them will come back. Ding Ling felt very relieved after hearing this, and watched the 3 of them walk into the cabin. Inside. He also doesn't know if he will regret this move in the future. This is the first time he has encountered an ascended cultivator who can take out 3 low-grade immortal artifacts in one go. He left Xianlin town immediately and went to Donglin City. What he admired was that if these 3 people, especially the fellow Daoist Chi, really made a breakthrough in the future, he, Ding Ling, and others would also have the capital to brag. Ding Ling laughed, turned around and walked towards the ascension pool. If there is no movement, he will just shut up there. When this mission is over, he will also go out to explore. Hundreds of people are loaded on the spacecraft, occupying only a small part of the space, and the rest is basically used to carry goods. According to Ding Ling, because Xianlin town is located in the ascension pool, it may be affected by the ascension pool. The quality of the Xiantian here is very high. Well, the fairy grass planted is also very popular, and the fairy fish raised in the fairy spring is also loved by the monks, and the spaceships that carry these goods are borne by the strontium. But even if there are few people, the 3 of them have seen all kinds of living beings on the spacecraft. Although the immortal world is a higher space for cultivation, the cultivation of immortals is also higher, but immortals also have desires, and if there are desires, there will be various differences and disputes. The 3 of them saw a bulging fat man on the boat, surrounded by several beautiful fairies, those who fed the fruit, and those who beat their legs. Even in the lower class, they could hear the deck over the upper class. The charming laughter on the top. I heard other people say that although this fat man is not very cultivated, he is a big planter in Xianlin town and has a lot of fairy fields. When he first saw this fat man, Guyao still had a bit of a favorable impression, because it reminded him of the fat man in the spiritual world, but when he saw Ying Ying Yan Yan around him, Guyao quickly separated the 2 of them. Putting this guy with the fat man is an insult to the fat man. The spaceship often travels on this route, so it was not attacked by star beasts along the way, but the 3 people who stayed outside the cabin also saw a corner of the starry world. The spaceship passed by a gravel belt. Is extremely dangerous, but the high speed. The stone belt did not endanger the spacecraft, and they also saw a brewing eye of the storm in the distance. The 3 believed that this was more severe than the eye of the storm they had seen on the outer islands of Kyushu. This is a fairly safe route. 2 days later, the spaceship arrived at Donglin City, and the 3 disembarked together. This is the closest city to Xianlin town. No matter how far it is, according to Ding Ling, it will take 10 days and a half to reach it. Therefore, people in Xianlin town must mention Donglin City outside. The fat man was called Mr. Fu, surrounded by beauties and surrounded by guards. He took the lead in disembarking and flying away. He could hear the beauties coquettishly saying what to buy when he was far away. This fat man is very lucky. If it wasn't for a sister who married a steward of the Chiao family, he could keep the rich family's vast immortal fields with his fat. This fat man will die sooner or later. On a woman's stomach. I heard that this was full of sourness. Su Chen covered his mouth with a fan and laughed silently. This dead fat man has indeed attracted the jealousy of many people. Alas, he misses the little monk in his family again. All the beauties combined can't compare to the little monk in his family. Shaking his fan, he said, let's go into the city and have a look. First find a job that can earn immortal stones, otherwise you won't even be able to eat. Guyao laughed, pulled Chi Changjai to follow, and merged into the flow of people in Donglan city. The three were scrutinized by many monks. Perhaps in the eyes of other monks, they were just moving light bulbs, and their breath made them shine wherever they went. They are also helpless. Ding Ling told them that there is no way to cover it up. They have tried many methods, but they are also ineffective. In fact, this is more harmful than beneficial to them. If they do something out of the ordinary, they will probably attract others. In fact, the best way at the moment is to find a place to close the gate for 50 years. However, they don't even rent the immortal stone in the cave. After walking around the street for a while, Su Chen couldn't stand the scrutiny of others, so he quickly said, let's go to the mission hall over there in the city lord's mansion. The quest hall opened by the city lord's mansion was introduced to them by Ding Ling, and it was hosted by the city lord's mansion. The city lord or the various forces in the city and the monks issued tasks here. With the identity card on the monk's body, they could accept the task and complete it. After the task, you can receive the reward, which is very popular with the loose cultivators and the cultivators who come out to practice. There, the chance of them encountering other ascending cultivators is much higher than other places. I don't know where Senior Baihen is now. It's no accident. Senior should have soared here. Accident means that something went wrong in the ascension channel. Of course, the probability of this is extremely small. As for Senior Suhi Sword Demon, that is, I knew earlier that it would not be possible to meet in a short time. Su Chen blinked. If you do meet, maybe you can hug your thighs, but then look at Chi Changjai and add, but it's hard to say. There is a guy who can't use common sense, to be honest. He also jealous. If you don't miss the immortal stone, if you close the door in Chi Changjai, you will definitely be an earth immortal when you come out. Chi Changjai raised his eyebrows. It didn't hurt or itchy, just treated Su Chen as jealous, thinking that he had to respectfully call Su Chen a senior, but now his cultivation base is higher than Su Chen. There is a sour feeling of finally turning over. Of course, these words must not be said, otherwise Su Chen would have to jump. But he just didn't say it. Su Chen also felt itchy, and wanted to slap a certain complacent guy. The city lord's mansion is located in the center of Donglan city, so you don't have to worry about finding the way. Once you get there, ask again, and you will find it. They told them that the place with the most people is the mission hall. Sure enough, the mission hall is very lively here. The monks who come and go here are much more sturdy than those in Xianlin town. Some monks have experienced a lot of battles at first glance, and the slaughter atmosphere cannot be concealed. Seeing newcomers coming, some cultivators looked at them with interest. Maybe they could be recruited into their team, but they looked away with just a glance. The three guys who had just ascended not long ago came to the mission hall without fear of death. Do you think immortal stone is so easy to earn? It is better to help others to dig and mine in various places to be safe. But there were also people who came up with their idea that they could be used as cannon fodder or bait. Anyway, few people who had just soared up and died outside would care. Three fellow deists, why don't you join our Howling Tigers team? Our Howling Tigers team has a 100% mission completion rate. We have never missed a beat. We will definitely have meat to eat and immortal stones to earn. This is not a big beard. He came up to lobby and looked at Han Shi, but those eyes betrayed him. Chi Changjai had a straight face, and as soon as he blew his air, he bluntly expressed his attitude, and the bearded man turned around and scolded, I really think I'm a jerk, and if I don't know what's good or bad, I have to kneel for Laozi when I arrive in the fairyland. Someone immediately came up and said, Brother Beard, don't have the same knowledge as these guys who can't see the situation clearly. Which of these ascension monks didn't come here like this? It's a pity. No matter how proud you are either proud of yourself or killed by life. If it is broken, maybe I will ask Brother Beard in the end. The bearded man suddenly became complacent and boasted, that's right. I kindly want to teach them, but I'm so ignorant of current affairs. Whenever I meet them, you can teach them a good lesson, anyway, as long as they don't kill them. These son of a Ascension monks, I just like to see them kneeling and begging for help, haha. But soon, the bearded man stopped laughing, because he saw another group of people approaching, and the leading monk slashed him with a knife with eyes, so that his skin hurt, just flattering the bearded man. The cultivator immediately shrank back when he saw this person. Because of this person's appearance, the noisy mission hall was also quiet for a moment. The three Guyao who turned to look at the constantly rolling task on the jade bai, turned to look after a moment of silence, and saw a tall female cultivator with a scar on her face, walking in with a dozen cultivators. When the beard saw this female monk, it was almost the same as when the mouse saw the cat. My surname is Hu, I have the guts to repeat what I just said to my mother, the female cultivator said coldly. The bearded man swallowed dryly, looked at the brothers around him, avoided his gaze, and regarded his cry for help as nothing, so he had to bite the bullet and say, no, Captain Leng is wrong, I mean that some monks are timid. Very, Lao Tzu, no, I admire an ascended cultivator like Captain Leng the most. Many people have noticed the movement here. When they heard what the bearded man said, many people laughed and pointed at the bearded man. The bearded man is a bully and afraid of the tough, but when he encounters such a fighting force as Cultivator Leng, if you are strong, you will be discouraged immediately, and you will never dare to push back in person. The three of Guyao also listened to other people's comments in surprise. It turned out that this Cultivator Leng was also an ascended cultivator, but the 50-year protection period had passed too early. Judging from her breath, she should be a cultivator in the early stage of Earth Immortal, and the men and women behind her, there are people who are immortals, who have the same early stage of Earth Immortals, but they are very convinced of her, which shows that they are very powerful. Captain Leng's eyes flashed with disdain, and he stopped looking at the surnamed Hu, turned and walked towards the three of Guyao. Captain Leng didn't bother to say anything to the surnamed Hu, but her teammate sneered at the surnamed Hu, making the bearded face turn into a pig. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 562. Captain Leng walked directly in front of the three of Guyao, looked up and down at Chi Changjai, and said, I just flew up. I'm Leng Su, come to our team. A small part of our team is Ascension Cultivator, at least we don't like others. I will use the Ascension Cultivator as cannon fodder and bait, and stay away from that Hu in the future. The bearded man wanted to scold people, but it was a pity that this surnamed Leng did not look like a woman, but he was more ruthless than anyone else. Other women thought the scars on her face were ugly, but she regarded the scars on her face as a victory and never concealed it. The beard that this woman had suffered so badly on her hands really didn't dare to mess with her. Among the three, Captain Leng is obviously more optimistic about Chi Changjai, because this person has a sharp sword energy and is obviously a sword cultivator who is good at fighting. As for Guyao and Su Chen, in her eyes, they are holding back, of course, willing she will not reject her efforts. Chi Changjai tilted his head and glanced at Guyao and Su Chen, then turned back and politely said to Leng Su, thank you Captain Leng for your kindness and reminder, but we want to take a look. Leng Su is not in a dilemma, and it is inconvenient to invite once. Well, I hope to see you again when I come back to the mission hall next time. If you changed someone else, maybe you thought that Captain Leng was cursing them to die, but Guyao and the three could hear that Captain Leng really hoped to see them again. Scar, you can know what she has experienced since she came to the fairyland. So Chi Changjai said, okay. Leng Su nodded and turned to leave. They came to hand over the task, hand in the task items, and then receive a new task. Captain Leng gave up, but her subordinates were a little unhappy. "Captain, these three guys have just come here. The smell on their bodies is so strong. It should be a few days after leaving the Ascension Pool. I don't know how difficult it is to live in the fairyland. The captain is so kind to give them the opportunity to join, but they don't know it. Good people. Even if the ascended cultivators came to the immortal world in the difficult journey, some people's hearts have long been ground into cold blood. Never imagine that they have any sympathy and compassion for the same ascended cultivators, and they can even indifferently watch them by the local cultivators. Bullying counts to death. They are all in the middle stage of human beings and immortals. It seems that their potential is not weak. I hope they can survive well, get a living space." Captain Leng said lightly, "That's a sword cultivator, and his strength should not be weak. Briefly explain the reason for pulling them in. After all, she is the captain and needs to be responsible for the safety of the team members. Not just anyone can be pulled in. It is absolutely impossible to hold them back, and it is impossible to unite the Ascension cultivators. It turns out that it won't work this time. Maybe there will be a chance next time," someone advised. Su Chen touched his chin unhappily, and sent a voice transmission to Guyao and Qi Changjai. "Do you think that many people here look at us with the eyes of dead people?" Guyao returned a helpless look, Qi Changjai turned a deaf ear, and continued to focus on the content scrolling on the jade byte. At this moment, a few people walked out of the mission hall, and many monks looked at them eagerly and said Tian Guanxi. These people's bearing and clothes and the monks who came to see the mission definitely belong to two levels. At first glance, the other party belongs to the kind of high-class people who are pampered and have an excellent living environment. Does Manager Tian come to give out tasks? What tasks does Manager Tian have to release this time? Manager Tian smiled and said, "This time there is indeed a good thing, but most of the people here do not meet the requirements. The situation is like this: the alchemy hall of our city master's mansion wants to recruit a few alchemy boys to fight the alchemist in the alchemy hall. If you are lucky, you may be accepted by the alchemist as a registered disciple or even a direct disciple. The task will be given out first, and the interested Taoist friends will be invited to the alchemy hall to accept the assessment in 2 days." The mission hall exploded in an instant, which is indeed a good thing, but it must be based on alchemy skills. If Captain Leng often fights and kills outside, it will definitely not work. Needless to say, it doesn't take 2 days. Just now, the news has been spread by the monks in the mission hall, and it won't take long for it to spread throughout the city. After 2 days, the monks who come to the assessment will probably burst the pill hall. Guyao and Su Chen glanced at each other and shook their heads together. Although it was a good opportunity, it was also not suitable for them, especially for Guyao. Those monks were all attracted by the news of Dantang, including a few monks in the team led by Captain Leng. Captain Leng did not prevent the whereabouts of his team members. If they could join Dantang, it would only benefit them. The three of Guyao also took the opportunity to check the quest, and spent 10 immortal stones in the quest hall to buy the map of the Star Beast. Before others noticed them, they quickly retreated quietly. When Big Beard and others wanted to find these three people, they found that they were no longer in the mission hall, but because of the anger on the surnamed Leng, Big Beard decided to vent all of them on these 3 Ascension monks. After the 3 of Guyao left the mission hall, they changed their appearances several times in a row to ensure that no one could find their traces, and then quickly headed out of the city. It is impossible to hide the whereabouts completely. It is the breath of the Ascension pond that makes trouble, so the current effort is only for a while. If you want to earn the Immortal Stone, there is really only one quickest way, that is to leave the city. The exit they walked through was not the one that entered the city. There were 7 or 8 exits in Donglan City alone, and when they were leaving the city, they spent another 20 Immortal Stones to buy a map, which marked the alien beasts. The general distribution, of course, the 3 of them also know that if you can't completely trust this map, you must act according to the circumstances. As long as they survive these 50 years, they can let go of their hands. Just turning around like this, only 5 of the 50 immortal stones on their bodies were left, because when they entered the city, one person handed in 5 immortal stones. Looking at the remaining 5 immortal stones in his hand, Gu Yao couldn't help laughing. The taste of Yuanyang town in Tianlin continent is extremely sour. Really poor to this point, but there are not too many scruples, and let go of the superiority of the previous status in the spiritual world. They are not the elders before, but downright poor. You don't need to pay the city fee when you leave the city. Just seeing these 3 people leave the city, the guards who guard the city look at them like a fool who is going to die, and they have no interest in making fun of them. When the 3 of them left the city, the bearded men couldn't find their whereabouts, and there was no clue that they took the mission in the mission hall, so these 3 people came to the mission hall for sightseeing and tricked them. The bearded man didn't want to let them go just like that, and let his subordinates continue to track down the whereabouts of the 3 people. Although Gu Yao and the others didn't pick up the quests in the quest hall, they used blank jade slips to write down a lot of quests, the kind of quests that are more popular, and there is no shortage of quests at any time, so after leaving the city, they compared the map and the Star Beast map. Gu Yao said, "Let's go to the first location first. There are often fire larks there, but we have to be careful. There must be a lot of people who have the same goals as us, and we must first observe the fire lark." They have sorted out the tasks and maps on the way, and the star beasts are also graded. The fire lark belongs to the lowest level, so first use the fire lark to practice, and get used to the battle method of the star beast, and then improve it step by step. Similar to the level of the immortal cultivation realm, the star beasts also have the distinction of human level, earth level, and heaven level. It is a familiar field, and star beasts above the sky level will not appear in this area. Compared with this star beast, Gu Yao felt that their division of the void beast at the beginning was probably not in line with the immortal realm. Of course, in the immortal realm, it is still a long way to come into contact with the void beast. The void beast appears on the edge of the immortal realm and has special the battlefield between immortal realm and void beast. Those who appeared in the spirit realm at first escaped from the battlefield. The 3 of them restrained their breath as much as possible to avoid attracting the attention of the monks and other creatures outside, and then took out a fairy shuttle. Thanks to the introduction of Bigo and the others, they knew the purpose and use of this fairy shuttle. The other cultivators exchanged them for auxiliary fairy weapons, so the counterparty of the transaction is also willing to exchange them for the top quality first-grade pills. As soon as they entered the Xianchuo, they activated the hidden immortal formation on the Xianchuo, so that they were no longer bright bulbs, and people paid attention to wherever they went. The 3 of them looked at each other and breathed a sigh of relief. They also laughed out loud. After coming here, they were all tied up. On the contrary, when they came to the dangerous starry sky in the eyes of others, they were much more comfortable and relaxed. On the face of the 3, there are only 5 immortal stones left. In fact, there are still some hidden in the space. At the beginning, they found some things in the ruins of the Shuiyu immortal sect, and they also gave them some after adding Su. It can be divided into 10 pieces. Except for Gu Yao, Qi Changjai and Su Chen can only keep them close to each other and use them at critical times. So when there is an immortal stone, they have to buy a storage ring. The energy in the starry sky is messy and violent. It is difficult for ordinary monks to cultivate in such an environment. Unless they are isolated and cultivated with immortal stones, it is easy to go crazy. Therefore, when walking out, immortal stones are also very necessary. Immortal stones or elixir are needed to replenish immortal energy. Elixir, cough, don't think about it for the time being. When he was about to approach the target, Xianchuo slowed down. Gu Yao let go of his spiritual search and pointed out a cloud and mist for Qi Changjai. There was a meteorite in it that was not too small, and he could hide there and observe the situation ahead. Although Gu Yao's cultivation level is a bit worse than Qi Changjai, but after the transformation of his consciousness, he can get close to the Earth Immortal without limit. In addition, he is not worse than the Earth Immortal because of his cooperation with the Cubs. Although Ding Ling said that this kind of cloud and mist has restrictions on spiritual consciousness, Su Chen and Qi Changjai did not show a surprised expression about Gu Yao's discovery and guidance. Only progress and not backward. The current situation does not prove that these clouds and mists have less restrictions on Gu Yao's consciousness than them, so their safety outside has increased a lot. Zion Shuashan controlled the landing on the meteorite in the long night. Through the clouds and mists, their visibility is very limited, but some stars beasts are born to like to drill around in the clouds, so outside, these star beasts occupy the main field. Gu Yao's consciousness has been released to maintain vigilance. No second wave of monks has been found in this area. Maybe they don't like this low-level star beast? About an hour later, Gu Yao's eyes lit up, and he heard from Qi Changjai and Su Chen, "Here, it's Huo Yunkui." As soon as Gu Yao finished speaking, although he didn't see this kind of star beast, their cries had already been heard, and Qi Changjai and Su Chen were overjoyed. The first pot of gold they came to the immortal realm was this group of Fire Lark. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 563. It didn't take long for Qi Changjai and Su Chen to see more than a dozen fire skylarks entering their range of consciousness. The fire skylark is small in size among star beasts, but its wings are several meters when stretched out, and they stand together. It is estimated that it also has the height of an ordinary monk. A fire lark in flight, its wings are like two groups of burning flames. The most valuable part of the whole body is the pair of wings, which requires a unique method to collect. There is a relevant introduction on the Yuhao Star Beast Atlas, which may be in the fairy world. Road stuff. The fire lark frolicked in the clouds and mist, and found pleasant chirping sounds from time to time. It was difficult for monks to adapt to the violent energy in such an environment. However, these star beasts were at ease, and the three of them also saw a fire lark having a good time. Slammed into a gravel slightly smaller than its body, and with a bang, dazzling sparks bloomed in the starry sky. The three discussed how to catch the fire lark, and then set traps on this meteorite, quietly waiting for them to approach. If someone comes over, they will find that the surface of the meteorite is covered with a net, which is Gu Yao's moyu, which changes its color to the same as the meteorite. At the same time, the cub also floats invisibly in the air. Green Eyes stared at the prey in front of him, ready to show off his skills. The fire lark in the play was unaware, and kept approaching the meteorite in the clouds. The lead one found the meteorite, chirped backwards, and then took the lead and landed on it. The fire lark behind also gathered their wings and landed. Twittering for a while, so lively. Just after all these prey entered the trap range, Gu Yao decisively gave an order, and Mou, who was quietly clinging to the ground, suddenly burst out, revealing its hideous side. Lark shot. The whip in Gu Yao's hand rolled towards the neck of a Huo Yunkui. If you look closely, there is still a layer of flame on the whip. The fan in Su Chen's hand fanned, and a fire dragon came out, and the sword in Qi Changjai's hand was divided into two parts. Divided into four thunder dragons appeared to attack the fire sparrow in the posture of piercing the gold and hitting the stone. The cub was completely unafraid of the flames on Huo Yunkui's wings, and rushed to one of them, opening his mouth and biting the cloud toward Huo Yunkui's neck. Huo Yunkui was shocked and wanted to lift off into the sky, but Mou's straps had already wrapped around their claws, and even a Huo Yunkui was caught off guard and Mou cut off its neck. Although Huo Yunkui is only a human-level star beast, the three people who dealt with star beasts for the first time did not dare to underestimate this kind of creature. The two with slightly higher strength broke free from Mou's entanglement, but they were hit by Qi Changjai's sword energy as soon as they took off, and they fell down with a cry of grief. Clean up the battlefield, we will move the place immediately, Chi said immediately. Okay. Not only did the three of them work together, but MOU also gave full play to its tentacle function. The three of them moved all the dozens of fire larks they killed into the Xianchuo in one round. Fly in the opposite direction from where it came. As soon as their immortal shuttle disappeared, a few monks landed on the meteorite behind, and they could guess the previous situation with a swipe of consciousness. The action is quick enough, and the run is fast enough. Did you find out which team it is? You actually packed a group of fire lark. Boss, we came a step late, we couldn't even see Xianchuo's tail, but looking at their direction, it's not going back, maybe we can meet them in the next few days. Yes, we'll talk about it when we see the situation. They didn't stop, and when they found that the man was gone, they flew away again. Guyao controlled Xianchuo, Qi Changjai and Su Chen, ahem, they worked as laborers, dismantling Huo Yunqui's wings and iron claws, and finally took out the animal core in his head, and the rest of the parts were first. Stack them in the corners and throw them out in an inconspicuous place. It's not that they are rich and powerful and don't take this immortal stone into consideration. In fact, they can either pile it up in Guyao's space. They have no place to put it. Other spaces in the immortal shuttle should be used to place more valuable parts. The black cat cubs tossed up and down beside Guyao, with a cooing laughter from his mouth. Guyao hurriedly pulled him down and slapped him hard, without such a joke. After tidying up, Guyao found a place and threw the rest out. The three of them grabbed an immortal stone in their hands to replenish the immortal energy consumed in their bodies. While absorbing the immortal energy, at the same time, the consciousness did not relax its vigilance, and always maintained a certain range of coverage. For the three of them, this was a good start, but they did not take it lightly and despised other star beasts, because in comparison, Huo Q's weaknesses are still relatively obvious. I mean, it doesn't make much difference. In this way, this immortal shuttle roams in the starry sky, and every time it hunts star beasts, it will move places, not only to earn immortal stones, but also to exercise itself. After a month has passed, half of the space in their immortal shuttle is used. They came to stack various parts of the star beasts. They had hunted more than a dozen star beasts, so the three decided to turn around, otherwise there would be no space to put things. After having a poor and too white experience, Su Chen was very happy when he saw the star beast parts in the warehouse. He roughly estimated that if these items were brought back to Donglan City, they could be exchanged for thousands of low-quality immortal stones. It seems quite a lot, but don't forget now, Qi Changjai's combat power is comparable to that of the early Earth Immortal. There were times when he relied on his strength to avoid danger. If he replaced it with other ordinary immortals, whether he could save his life was really a problem, let alone talk about earning immortal stones. After experiencing poverty once, people have become so easily satisfied. While happy, Su Chen also despised himself. Is this still a supreme elder in the spiritual world? The eyelids are so shallow. But just happy. But soon they became extremely happy and sad. They were stared at by two immortal shuttles, and they surrounded them in a posture of tandem. Su Chen was very annoyed, when we are so easy to bully. One of them is often dangling behind our buttocks, right? This is already eyeing us and trying to rob them. Fuck them. Guyao controlled the immortal shuttle very quickly, and said calmly, I have seen it, there are a total of 3 early Earth immortals in the others 2 immortal shuttles, Senior still want to kill them? Try to get rid of them first. Qi Changjai is very confident in Guyao's control, this is not suitable for hands-on, even if you want to do it, you should first throw off a ferry shuttle. We passed a gravel belt yesterday. Go back now. Okay. Guyao aimed at the direction, controlled Xianchuo, and went out of the with a swoosh. He was also motivated to fight, and when he got to the gravel belt, he could make full use of the environment there to kill them. "Boss, they ran away, do you want to chase?" asked the monk who controlled Xianchuo. "Of course we have to chase. Those who are aware of current affairs will hand over Xianchuo, and I will spare their lives. Now, when we catch up with them, let them go with the star beasts," the boss said angrily. "Good boss, haha, it's just these little trash fish, it's a piece of cake to catch up with them, just look at me." In the starry sky, the three immortal shuttles are swiftly rushing to their seniors in a zigzag shape, and the two behind them hold onto the one in front. Looking at the posture, it is more like a cat playing a mouse, and there are scratches on the surface of their immortal shuttles. You can know how long you have stayed in this starry sky. It is these scratches that make them reveal a fierce aura to other immortals. Flying at full speed, it originally took a day's journey, but after half a day, he saw the gravel belt ahead. Guyao did not hesitate to control the Xianchuo and plunged into it, and was quickly covered by the high-speed running gravel belt. "Track! Careful!" The two Xianchuo at the back stopped urgently and looked at the gravel belt in disbelief. The guys in front were so desperate, they actually ran inside. "Aren't you afraid that the shuttle will destroy people?" "Boss, what should we do now? Shall we follow up?" "Boss, seeing those guys have been busy for several days, the harvest is not small. These monks are often wandering in the starry sky. Hunting and killing star beasts is a side business. By the way, their main business is to rob outside monks, especially those who are novice and small in number, so they usually have a nickname, called star thieves. Of course, they have more than 2 star shuttles in their hands, but they think that to deal with 3 cultivators, they can't use so many people at all, and sending 2 Xian shuttles is enough to look down on them. It's really unsatisfactory to just give up." The boss slapped the console and scolded him. He knew that he would stop them when they were entering the gravel belt, to save the trouble. Now that he was played by the prey he liked, of course he refused to do so. "Give up and teach these 3 boys to look good. Act separately, and send a message to the one you find first. If they are unlucky and destroy people, it is their own bad luck." "Yes, boss." The 2 Xianchuo side by side quickly crossed the starry sky and flew to both sides. The scope of this gravel belt is not particularly large, and the star thieves who often rob in the starry sky have a good grasp of the situation of this gravel belt. If they know where the situation is more stable, they can enter from there, or there. Waiting for the rabbit. After entering the gravel belt, although he temporarily got rid of the enemy, Guyao not only did not relax, but became more nervous. Xianchuo swayed his tail and merged into the direction of the debris belt. The collision of the stone, from time to time, has to move to the sides. It used to be called drag racing, but now, it's probably called drag racing. Guyao's consciousness spread out, divided into hundreds of thousands of strands, spreading all around like tentacles, if you could give early warning of road conditions in all directions. Su Chen also lost his sense of joking, and maintained a high degree of vigilance like Qi Changzhai. Once the situation was critical, he could only leave Xianchuo to find another way. But soon, he let Guyao have a larger gravel. In such a gravel belt, that stone can be regarded as a giant. He manipulated the speed of Xianchuo to be parallel to the gravel, and then controlled the Xianchuo landed on the stone. When the landing was successful, Guyao couldn't help but wipe the sweat from his forehead, but at the moment he was very excited, and the rush was exciting enough. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 564. Guyao and the others were lucky, the stone they chose was strong enough, and they only felt a tremor when they were hit. So the 3 of them were on guard while paying attention to what good refining materials were in the gravel belt. Some of the books and jade slips collected in the spiritual world could still come in handy, so as not to be confused about the refining materials in the immortal world. "Look there, there's a piece of cold star iron there," quickly fetch it. Su Chen's voice was more cheerful. If the information he had read was not out of date, this piece of cold star iron would still be more valuable. The three of them worked together. Although Hangzheng iron is extremely cold, it is suitable for refining ice-type immortal weapons, but Su Chen and Gu Yao have different fires, and Qi Changjai is thunder-type, so they are not worried about being frozen. How long ago this piece of star-cold iron was dragged over, put it in Gu Yao's space first, and then take it out and exchange it for immortal stone when there is a chance. After catching several pieces of good quality refining materials, they saw Xianchuo carefully fly in. Prepare to fight, Qi Changjai's Shuanghui shone brightly. Before, they were regarded as prey by Pinjin, but now the situation has changed, and it is their turn to become hunters. To say that the fastest way to immortal stone is not to hunt down star beasts and search for refining materials, but to eat black people. It's not that they haven't done it before. I'll go out and attract them. Gu Yao is also eager to try. Anyway, he is not the leader of the Alchemy Alliance, and he is no longer a supreme elder. He is worshipped wherever he goes, and he needs to pay attention to his words and deeds. No one here knows him. It feels good to let go of hands and feet without any scruples. Be careful. Qi Changjai shook Gu Yao's hand. Gu Yao clicked to go, and then got out of Xianchuo's protective cover. Then Qi Changjai and Su Chen also left, and temporarily put Xianchuo up and hung it on his waist, and the two hid on the stone and waited. The enemy into the net. Gu Yao seemed to fly around aimlessly, dodging the rubble in a hurry, looking like the Xianchuo was destroyed in a panic, and he was discovered by the star thief on the Xianchuo after a while. Look, people are there. Haha, it seems that their Xianchuo has been destroyed. Boys, hurry up, catch this boy first, and then see if the other two are dead. Okay, in fact, this kid looks good, and if he is caught alive, he can sell for hundreds of thousands of immortal stones. Yes, caught alive. Fortunately, Gu Yao didn't hear their conversation, otherwise he would have to vomit blood. His dignified Dan Alliance leader and Tai's Hang elder would be captured alive and sold, and he knew that he would end up in some dark place. Of course it was possible. The murderousness is even heavier, and he has to kill these who dare to attack him. Xianchuo was getting close. Gu Yao was like a playboy, as if he had just discovered Xianchuo. He fled faster with a panicked look, and was almost hit by the high-speed gravel several times, looking extremely dangerous. Boys, go out with me to catch the live ones. Good boss. Boss, this time we have really made it. This kid is still a cultivator who has just ascended. Haha, some guys like this kind of stuff. We have grown big. In an instant, 5 monks flew out of the Xianchuo, and while avoiding the gravel, they flanked Gu Yao. Gu Yao seemed to be more panic, but he took these 5 monks and the Xianchuo behind them to Qi Changjai where they were. The giant stone flew away. It didn't take long for Gu Yao and the 5 cultivators who surrounded him to land on the Big Mac, and they were still surrounded by him. What do you want to do, Gu Yao? The drama Jing exclaimed, deliberately using his immortal energy to make his face pale. Su Chen, who was watching the whole process, rubbed his stomach silently. He deeply felt that he could try it next time. Try it, it's fun. Qi Changjai's eyes flashed with murderous intent, because he heard the dirty words of these and sold them alive. Let's see if they survive. Do it. Qi Changjai rushed out first, looking directly at the only earth immortal among these cultivators, who was the leader among them. Su Chen had to follow closely, and the show couldn't be seen. Gu Yao, whose face was pale in horror just now, turned into a murderous aura, and Qi Changjai heard it, such a keen sense of consciousness. Haha, it seems that their Xianchuo has been destroyed. Boys, hurry up, catch this boy first, and then see if the other two are dead. Okay, in fact, this kid looks good, and if he is caught alive, he can sell for hundreds of thousands of immortal stones. Yes, caught alive. Fortunately, Guyao didn't hear their conversation, otherwise he would have to vomit blood. His dignified Dan Alliance leader and Tai's Hang elder would be captured alive and sold, and he knew that he would end up in some dark place. Of course it was possible. The murderousness is even heavier, and he has to kill these who dare to attack him. Xianchuo was getting close. Guyao was like a playboy, as if he had just discovered Xianchuo. He fled faster with a panicked look, and was almost hit by the high-speed gravel several times, looking extremely dangerous. "Boys, go out with me to catch the live ones." "Good boss." "Boss, this time we have really made it. This kid is still a cultivator who has just ascended, haha, some guys like this kind of stuff, we have grown big." In an instant, 5 monks flew out of the Xianchuo, and while avoiding the gravel, they flanked Guyao. Guyao seemed to be more panic, but he took these 5 monks and the Xianchuo behind them to Chi-Chang-Jai where they were. The giant stone flew away. It didn't take long for Guyao and the 5 cultivators who surrounded him to land on the Big Mac, and they were still surrounded by him. "What do you want to do, Guyao?" the Dramajing exclaimed, deliberately using his immortal energy to make his face pale. Su Chen, who was watching the whole process, rubbed his stomach silently. He deeply felt that he could try it next time. "Try it, it's fun." Chi-Chang-Jai's eyes flashed with murderous intent, because he heard the dirty words of these and sold them alive. "Let's see if they survive." "Do it." Chi-Chang-Jai rushed out first, looking directly at the only Earth Immortal among these cultivators, who was the leader among them. Su Chen had to follow closely, and the show couldn't be seen. Guyao, whose face was pale in horror just now, turned into a murderous aura, and Chi-Chang-Jai heard it, such a keen sense of consciousness. "Quick, the gravel belt is about to explode, we're leaving." Speaking of Chi-Chang-Jai, he released the Immortal shuttle. Guyao and Su Chen pushed the enemy back together, and jumped onto the Immortal shuttle. Guyao quickly took over the control of the Immortal shuttle, ignoring the impact of the gravel, and accelerated to fly out of the gravel belt. When rushing out, Guyao also threw all the disposable blasting items that belonged to the spiritual world collected in the space and started it. After arriving in the immortal world, these items will basically be useless, and using them against the enemy will be like a whiplash. However, in the current environment, these spiritual world items are like a little spark thrown into a powder keg, which will make the blast is more powerful. They do not have great confidence that they will not be involved in the blasting, and the 3 of them have a way of retreat, that is, at the juncture of the last resort, where their lives are not guaranteed, they hide in Guyao's pill pavilion space. But until the critical moment, they are unwilling to expose the existence of space. Of course, if it was not Su Chen but another person, Chi-Chang-Jai and Guyao would not be so adventurous. Su Chen is more familiar with space than Chi-Chang-Jai. Xianchuo flew in front, and bursts of fireworks burst out in the back, which was extremely splendid. The deafening roar continued, and the eye of the storm generated by the explosion swept towards Xianchuo. At the critical moment, Xianchuo rushed out of the gravel belt, but threw a beautiful tail and accelerated to one side. Guyao felt that Xianchuo couldn't bear such a high-speed flight and was about to disintegrate. Dangerously brushing the eye of the storm, Xianchuo's speed can finally be slowed down. This time, Guyao's face does not need to pretend, it is really pale and covered in cold sweat. Su Chen hurriedly took Xianchuo, Late Changye took over Guyao and went down to adjust his breath. The immortal shuttle that was chasing them into the gravel belt must have been destroyed. As for the other immortal shuttle, they can't care about it now, and it is important to withdraw first. What they didn't know was that another Xianchuo also unfortunately entered the gravel belt. When the gravel belt was blasted, they had no time to withdraw. After struggling for a long time, they were still caught in the eye of the storm. As for whether they could surviving from the eyes of the storm depends on their luck. 2 days later, Guyao, who was in the process of adjusting his breath, finally opened his eyes. Xianchuo was hiding in a cloud and mist. Qi Changjai was still guarding Gu Yao. Xian Qi, Xian Yuan Li added. Awake? Is the situation okay? He cared about Gu Yao, Su Chen shouted back while noticing the situation outside. Gu Yao got up and stretched his muscles and bones, and said, fortunately, where are we now? Looking at the powder around him, he knew that he had used up a lot of immortal stones, which had already exceeded their original net worth, so they must have been looted from those star thieves. Fortunately, otherwise, there would be no way to recover so quickly. Before waiting for Qi Changjai to answer, Su Chen hurriedly said, we're lost, ha. Why does it sound like a schadenfreude? Gu Yao looked at Qi Changjai, the latter showed a helpless look, and the opposite, Su Chen had an incomprehensible excitement about getting lost. Gu Yao pressed his eyebrows, it seems that the first class price is first class. The map we bought was too poor, and the scope of the target was too small. It doesn't matter, when we go back, there will be enough immortal stones to buy a more comprehensive map, Qi Changjai said optimistically. In fact, there must be a relatively complete map on the Xianchuo that was destroyed before, but the Xianchuo should be blasted to pieces at this moment. There is no danger for the time being, and the three are in the mood to share the spoils. The biggest vote this time is definitely the group of star thieves who fought back before. Every time they solve one, they will not let go of the storage ring and other items on the star thief, such as the fairy tools they use, which can be exchanged for some fairy stones when they are brought back. What makes them most happy are those storage rings. Originally, Qi Changjai planned to use the smelting materials he had found to match the space laws he had understood. You don't have to worry about the ring. The storage ring with the largest space is the boss of the early Earth Immortal that Qi Changjai had dealt with. To be honest, Qi Changjai never expected to deal with this guy relatively easily. During the battle, he discovered that this guy's physical strength is not much stronger than his. Otherwise he would not be so lucky to use the flying gravel to consume that guy's immortal energy. This storage ring was given to Su Chen. After all, this cheeky guy is also Xiao's predecessor. Qi Changjai and Gu Yao used the storage rings on their subordinates. Of course, this is just a stopgap measure. When the economy is more comfortable, it must be replaced. All the immortal stones are gathered together, and the number of immortal stones can be known with a sweep of divine sense. Su Chen raised his eyebrows, these star thieves are not so rich. There are only 32,800 low-grade immortal stones in total, and it's bad enough to be mixed up to this point. Yes, no wonder you can only be a star thief. Qi Changjai also raised his eyebrows, but did not follow Su Chen's words, thinking that they are poor ghosts, and they don't have a few immortal stones on their bodies, and they actually dislike that there are tens of thousands of star thieves in their upper bodies. Disgusting is disgusting. And the next moment Su Chen said happily, come, let's share the spoils, one share for each person. Xiao, what you used before is not counted, come, this is for you. Gu Yao laughed, the senior's temper was getting more and more forthright. Of course, the loot is not only immortal stones and storage rings, but also immortal artifacts and elixir, as well as unsold star beast corpses and refining materials. The three of them were asked to say that these star beasts were not hunted and killed by them, and they were probably the same as them. Monk. Sure enough, it is easier to get rich by eating black, not to mention immortal stones, even if these star beast parts and refining materials on their bodies are now thrown out, there must be tens of thousands of immortal stones. A feeling of. As for the elixir that he found, Su Chen opened a jade bottle and glanced at it, and disliked it again. The quality of these elixir is too bad. No, the alchemy masters in Donglan City are not very high, wait for us to return. After the city, you still have to find a way to make alchemy yourself. It can be said that all the pills that have been taken since cultivation are top-grade pills, and these pills are obviously of low-grade quality at first glance. I really don't want to eat this kind of pill with a bunch of impurities. So turning around, Su Chen stuffed the medicinal pills and the items to be sold into a storage ring, and said, although the quality is too bad, it should be possible to sell some immortal stones. What a thrifty housekeeping. Alchemy. That's right, Gu Yao patted his forehead. I received a jade slip when I was in the spiritual realm, but the restrictions outside the jade slip could not be opened at first, but now maybe I can find the place where the jade slip lives and live. Possibly an alchemist. As soon as he came to Immortal Realm, just because he was familiar with the situation here and adapted to the environment, he didn't remember this jade slip. Gu Yao quickly took it out, hoping that it would be as he wished, and the record inside would be alchemy. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 565. The jade slip was obtained from the Shuiya fragment, or it was discovered by Shuliahu and the others, and they handed it over to Gu Yao. At that time, they couldn't break the ban outside the jade slip. If they had to use force, there was only one result, and that was to destroy the jade slip together. At that time, I guessed that the ban was Xian Yuan Li, and maybe Xian Yuan Li was also needed to break the ban. The situation is similar to their judgment. Although they have never seen this ban, after thinking about it for a while, it is like peeling off a coat. The layers of shells are removed, revealing the true colors inside. Is also different, shining brightly. Just as Gu Yao was about to penetrate his divine sense, Qi Changjai grabbed his hand. I'm coming. Brother, yeah, it's all right, I have a cub to protect me. Of course Gu Yao knew that Qi Changjai was worried that he would go wrong, but if there was a trap, he couldn't let Qi Changjai face it, so once he explained his consciousness, he went to investigate. Went in. Su Chen was speechless. Do you want to show your love in front of him all the time? What is there to fight for? There is a real problem. The three of them can still face it together. As soon as he came into contact with the content inside, Gu Yao showed a big smile. Su Chen clapped his hands. It seems that it is really an alchemy technique, and Gu Yao's luck is still so good in the fairy world. Qi Changjai also smiled. Gu Yao spent a lot of time imprinting the contents of the jade slip into his sea of consciousness, and then shared the jade slip with Su Chen. Su Chen couldn't wait to read it, and finally even Qi Changjai memorized the contents. Once again, alchemy is a layman, but those immortal herbs must be mastered and understood, otherwise, they will not be able to recognize them even if they encounter them. Wouldn't it be a disadvantage? When the three of them set off again, Shu Qi Changjai controlled the immortal shuttle, and Gu Yao and Su Chen digested the contents of the jade slip. The original owner of the jade slip was a disciple of the Shuiyu immortal sect, and he was also an elixir master. The jade slip left behind his practice of alchemy, as well as his experience in alchemy and alchemy. As far as Su Chen is concerned, it is undoubtedly a guiding light, so that they do not have to take many detours when exploring the alchemy technique of the immortal realm. The two digested and discussed the proof all the way, and combined the alchemy of the immortal world with the alchemy of the spiritual world. They did not think that the two could be completely separated. The latter is the foundation of the former, and the alchemy and basic operations are also the same. I wandered in the starry sky for a long time and avoided danger several times. Fortunately, I didn't encounter the star thief again. Of course, their Xianzhuo appearance also appeared a lot of damage, which at least gave the passing monks an impression. The monks on this Xianzhuo are not newborn calves and are not afraid of tigers, and have spent a lot of time in the starry sky. Just as the three of them were considering whether to risk their identities being exposed, intercepting a Xianzhuo to ask where they were, they saw a real giant meteorite appearing in front of them. Mac, in front of this meteorite is like an ant. What surprised them even more is that there is a protective cover on the meteorite, and some monks put away the Xianzhuo to enter and exit the protective cover. The three were very careful, worried that they would fall into another black cave, but after careful observation, they found that this was actually a settlement of monks in the starry sky, or a starry sky exchange station. Would you like to go up? Su Chen asked. The breath on them would still make them the focus of everyone. Go up, Chi Changjai said after pondering for a while, still appearing as a middle-stage human immortal. Let's see what the environment is like above. Gu Yao also nodded. There should be immortal grass here. We need immortal grass to practice our hands. Okay, then let's go. Although there are concerns, Su Chen also has the risk factor. The three put away the immortal shuttle and flew to the entrance. There are monks guarding the entrance. If you want to enter, you need to hand over the immortal stone, which is more expensive than Donglan City. 50 yuan per person is simply a robbery. If it wasn't for the black money, the three of them couldn't even pay the entry fee, and Chi Changjai threw 150 immortal stones there. Glancing at it, he narrowed his eyes. You. These three guys are actually new Ascension monks. How many years have he been at this exchange station, and he is still the first one. This is the first time I have encountered such a fresh Ascension cultivator, and there are only 3 of them at a time. You must know that the exchange station here is very far away from Donglan City. Anyone who can get here is not one who has experienced hundreds of battles in this starry sky. Those new Ascension monks will die before they walk halfway. Gu Yao smiled at him, and was about to go inside with Chi Changjai and Su Chen, when the guards woke up and hurriedly stopped them. It's your first time here, there are some rules that you need to know, this booklet must be read carefully. One of the guards gave a pamphlet, which recorded the rules of staying at the exchange station, especially not to do anything here, so as not to destroy the exchange station, and it would be very expensive to build another one. After Gu Yao and the others thanked them, they continued to walk inside. They could scan the contents of the booklet at a glance. The one I liked the most was that they could not do anything in the exchange station, and those who violated the rules would be thrown out. It looks good, let's find a place to live here first, Gu Yao said happily. Okay, Chi Changjai didn't disagree. So the 3 of them walked on the streets of the exchange station with countless eyes. Perhaps in the eyes of many people, it was like 3 lambs entering a pack of wolves. They just waved their claws and the 3 lambs died. Stay here. Most of them are desperados in the starry sky. It is rare for them to have fun. Now they are looking at them with interest, and even many eyes are malicious. I haven't smelled this smell for a long time. I originally wanted to leave today. It seems that I should stay for a few more days. There are also cool-headed ones, be careful, you think they fell in here unintentionally? It's a tough road. Haha, no matter what, there are good shows to watch. After staying in the starry sky for a long time, the days are so boring, and it is rare to meet interesting guys. The eyes and consciousness on the 3 people didn't disappear until they entered an inn. When they got to the inn, there were still consciousnesses who came in. Su Chen rolled his eyes secretly. How boring these are. This feeling did not disappear until they entered the room and activated the formation. Gu Yao and Chi Changjai breathed a sigh of relief. They were stared at by so many eyes and looked at them wantonly. The 3 of them have been wandering in the starry sky for these days, keeping a high degree of vigilance at all times. This suddenly relaxed, and they just want to have a good night's sleep. Of course, they still have to be on guard. Those eyes outside make them unable to completely relax. But this is the case. The 3 people who slept for a full day and night, woke up refreshed, and then went out to dispose of their belongings in high spirits. Of course, they didn't want to dispose of them all, because that number was not for them. The identity and cultivation are too conspicuous, let's throw away some of them first, and see the situation later. Always pass the immortal stone in your hand to a clear road, or tell others that they killed a group of star thieves on the way, so there is no shortage of immortal stones. Going out and being stared at by all kinds of eyes, the 3 people in a good mood just thought they didn't exist. First went to the market to check the market, then found a shop, shot the parts of those human level, low level and middle level star beasts, plus some refining materials, and nearly 10,000 immortal stones, let those who stare at him. Our monks looked a little jealous. Sure enough, I didn't see anything wrong. It's not luck to get here. Although these three people's cultivation base is a little bit worse, it is not ambiguous to kill the star beast. Some people also made up their minds and sent people to stare at the three ascension monks to see when they left, so that they could make a fortune. It just disappointed them. After having the immortal stone on the bright side, the three of them went to a restaurant to have a meal. Speaking of which, this was the first meal they had eaten since they came to the immortal world. Unfortunately, the consumption here is higher than that in Donglan City. It's too tall to let go of the belly and eat big. After eating the scorpion, they plunged into the market again. This time, they bought the fairy grass from the market. By the way, they didn't have the elixir furnace either. How can the nearly 10,000 immortal stones on the surface stand up to flowers? Watching them buy immortal grass, they stretched their necks one by one, and they all began to guess. Could it be that there is an elixir master among these three? How is it possible that the elixir masters are so good at doing it? Seeing that the taste of these three people is so strong, it hasn't been a year since they ascended. Where can I learn the elixir skills of the fairy world? Yeah, these ascended cultivators were their great powers before they came to the immortal realm, and they are sought after by countless people. Maybe people think that elixir is like that, and they are confident that they can be refined after thinking about it. This is obviously a mockery of the ascension cultivators' self-control. It is those cultivators who are waiting for them to leave and prepare to rob. They are not in a good mood. The immortal stones are used to buy immortal grass, and they also rob a fart, waste. After spending all their time on the immortal stone they had just obtained, the three returned to the inn and closed the door to start alchemy. There are also some fairy grass in Guyao's space. What makes Guyao particularly happy is that after experiencing the transformation of the Ascension Pond, a fairy field was created in the space. The immortal grass and those half-immortal grasses were transplanted into the immortal fields, and their quality surpassed those just purchased. Fighting these two parts of the immortal grass together can make up the materials for 3 sets of elixir. After sufficient preparation, the two of them will start the alchemy, while Qi Changjai will accumulate the battle income during this period of time. There will be another fight. The 3 of them stayed in the inn for more than half a month. If they hadn't come out late and paid a fee, the innkeeper would have driven people away. What surprised the shopkeeper most was that when Qi Changjai came out, the shopkeeper smelled the elixir of elixir on him. The guy said that when the door was opened, the fragrance of the elixir was also emitted from the door. Is there really an alchemist? If this is the case, the identity of the 3 immediately soars. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 566. Before the 3 of Guyao walked out of the inn, the suspicious identity of an elixir master had already been spread out, which made everyone who was watching stunned. Wouldn't it really be an alchemist? To say that in such an exchange station, the elixir master is very popular, why? Because alchemists don't like going out for adventures, they prefer to stay in Donglan City, which has a good environment and abundant resources and is comfortable. Even if a cultivator occasionally knows a little alchemy, it is still an amateur level. But is there a shortage of elixir? Of course, it is lacking, and there is a shortage of resources. Those merchants transport the elixir here and sell it at a much higher price, but no matter how high the price is, the monks who come here to settle down to replenish supplies must also buy it. It's just that the medicinal pill has not yet appeared, and everyone still maintains a skeptical attitude. A month later, Qi Changjai walked out of the room and brought the elixir refined by Guyao and Su Chen, ready to find a shop to take action. The shopkeeper of the inn let the guy watch it, and reported it to him in time, so he rushed to Chi Changjai as soon as possible. Chi Changjai looked at him vigilantly. The shopkeeper knew that this kind of behavior could easily lead to misunderstanding by others, so he quickly explained, "You don't need to panic, I just want to ask you, do you have any pills ready to sell?" Chi Changjai raised his eyebrows. Did he just wait for the pills? Whoever sells is not for sale, so Chi Changjai nodded and said, "Yes, I have refined some elixir, and I am going to go out and see the market." The shopkeeper rubbed his hands, wanting to have a sneak peek. Chi Changjai didn't wait for him to speak, he took the initiative to take out a bottle and handed it over. The shopkeeper, "Let's see what the price of this medicine pill should be." The shopkeeper was overjoyed, and hurriedly opened the jade bottle and took a look inside. Fucking immortal pill, middle grade. Although the fucking elixir is only a human-level elementary elixir, it is used to supplement the immortal energy consumed by the monks, but most of them can be seen in this place. Low-grade pills, supplemented with immortal energy and healing pills, are also the most popular here. The shopkeeper can't wait to stuff this bottle of pills into his storage ring right away. The shopkeeper, Chi Changjai reminded. Haha, the shopkeeper restrained his impulse, but still held the jade bottle tightly in his hand. If the medicinal pills in the hands of fellow Taoists are all of this quality, I will charge as many as possible, and the price it will definitely satisfy the Daoist friends. Chi Changjai didn't mind who gave the immortal stone, as long as the price was fair, so he reported 2 other pills that were also at the beginning of the human level. Therefore, not long after leaving the house, Chi Changjai returned to the room. In addition to selling the medicinal pills to the shopkeeper, he also talked about a business by the way, hoping that the shopkeeper would provide them with immortal grass. The immortal grass resources here are not rich, the reason is the lack of alchemist. The immortal grass that originally had more than 8,000 immortal stones changed hands for more than 20,000 immortal stones. This was a return on the basis that Guyao and Su Chen had wasted some immortal grass successively. It can be said that the profits were huge. The monks outside originally saw that the 3 of Guyao had not come out for a long time. They thought that the alchemy had failed, and they wanted to laugh at them. As a result, the innkeeper changed hands and sold the medicinal pills at a slightly higher price. All the cultivators were stunned. The source of the medicine still needs to be said. Even if they didn't know it at first, there was a guy who liked to spread the news, and they soon learned that these medicinal pills were purchased by the shopkeeper from the 3 ascending cultivators. The monks outside didn't know whether to be happy that the exchange station finally came to an elixir master, or they were happy that the net worth of the 3 ascension monks would become higher and higher, and they would be worth more robbery, but in a short period of time, they would never want to see these 3 ascension cultivators. The monk left the exchange station. The shopkeeper also had a background, and sent out a message to send immortal grasses in. These immortal grasses became immortal pills when Guyao and Su Chen were in the hands, but the quality was always kept in the middle grade. It didn't take long for the 2 to return. The shotgun was replaced by the cannon, and finally the authentic elixir furnace was used. I was crying with joy. It was not easy. The monks waiting for the robbery are getting more and more disappointed. Some of them are star thieves who are wandering in the starry sky. The exchange station was originally 3 religions and 9 streams, and there are all kinds of characters, but when they come in, they must abide by the rules here, unless their strength exceeds the earth immortal sitting here. 1 year has passed, 2 years have passed, the 3 seem to have taken root in the exchange station. The 3 of them either retreated and practiced or went out to have a full meal. Huaxianqi also made a lot of money. Isn't the immortal stone earned for use, and the 3 moved from the original inn room to the yard provided by the inn, whether it is alchemy or retreat. Convenient. In a blink of an eye, it had been 50 years since Guyao and the others came to the immortal realm. The shopkeeper sat at the counter and chatted with other monks, and after talking about the topic, he turned to the 3 ascension monks. The three of them haven't shown up for several years, especially the fellow Daoist Chi. How many years? It's been 20 or 30 years, because in recent years, I have seen two other monks with more tender faces. When I went to the restaurant, the Jiangziu surnamed Chi didn't see any movement. The shopkeeper nodded and said, "No, that fellow Daoist Chi is in retreat, and his cultivation will definitely improve a lot when he leaves. I think the potential of the three of them is very good, and this approach is quite clever. Seeing that the 50-year protection period is about to pass, it is easier for the three of them to hide, so smart people will choose to retreat to improve their cultivation. It's just that most Ascension monks can't do it. Why? Because it needs to consume a lot of immortal stones. Even if you slowly absorb the immortal energy around you to cultivate, you must rent the immortal stones of the cave. Otherwise, if you open a temporary cave in the wilderness, you will not have any guarantee of safety. As long as there is a way, who is unwilling to take the time to improve their cultivation, instead of toiling on the road to earn immortal stones. I seem to have heard news from Donglan City that the Howling Tigers were eyeing 3 Ascension monks, but those 3 ascended monks have completely disappeared in Donglan City. It is said that these 3 Ascension monks have already haha. The shopkeeper has also heard of this incident. It is estimated that except for them, everyone who heard it thought that the 3 Ascension monks had lost their lives. How could they expect them to be in this exchange station, relying on one-handed alchemy to get along? Those who have the ability will do well wherever they are. The shopkeeper admires the people who have the ability. The shopkeeper remembers the incident when the star thief brought by Heqiang was taken over by an unknown cultivator. Speaking of the ancient alchemist, they came to the exchange station, and this incident happened with the front and back feet. Heqiang has been tracking down a few years ago the murderer. Unfortunately, they have been looking for 20 or 30 years without any clues, and they have been targeted by other star thieves themselves, so how can they find the murderer? The shopkeeper was also very gossipy when he talked about this matter. No, the time is about the same, but it is impossible. During that time, it was not only them who came to our exchange station. Heqiang had 3 early Earth Immortals, and they were all slaughtered. Well, it wasn't long before the alchemist Gu and the others had just ascended, so how could they have that kind of strength? Heqiang used to be very arrogant, but he didn't expect to lose 3 early Earth Immortals all at once, and the power in his hands shrank greatly. I was replaced by him. You have already picked up your tail, and you are still looking for the murderer with such a big fanfare. Why don't you wait for someone to grab your tail and grab the territory? The shopkeeper, what you said makes sense. Anyway, Heqiang has had a good life in a few days. By the way, I heard that the woman Leng Su also came a few days ago. If I remember correctly, she is also an ascended cultivator, right? I have recruited several people who are similar to her. They are talking about Leng Su. Leng Su, after they came here to rest, they went out to inquire about the situation. They also heard that in the past few decades, 3 Ascension monks have come to this exchange station, one of which is still an elixir master. The elixir shot is very popular with the monks here. After inquiring about the specific situation of these 3 ascending monks, several monks looked at each other in dismay, and when they arrived in the private room of the restaurant, someone immediately asked, "Captain, those 3 ascending monks, wouldn't they be the ones we met in Donglan City 50 years ago? 3 guys. They're still alive? Running this far?" It was unbelievable. When I heard that the people from the Howling Tigers were looking for them, Leng Su also asked them to inquire privately, but the Howling Tigers searched for a long time and could not find anyone. The chances of those 3 Ascension monks surviving are extremely small, but who would have thought to hear their news in such a place? If they hadn't heard the news here, they would have thrown the 3 Ascension cultivators into an unknown corner, including Leng Su. Impossible. Maybe it's other Ascension monks, maybe there are elders from the division around. Someone immediately denied it, just didn't believe that the 3 guys could run to such a place and settle down on their own. Leng Su waved his hands, and immediately shut up one by one. Leng Su said, "Pay attention, what kind of alchemist is out of the customs? It is best that we can do business with him in person. It happens that we have a batch of immortal herbs. This alchemist, the pills that are shot are all good." "Yes, Captain." Leng Su is also very skeptical, but whether it is or not, she will talk about it after seeing someone. To be honest, she is also very happy to hear that an ascended cultivator can have a foothold in such a place. Most importantly, one of the ascension cultivators are also alchemists with good alchemy skills, and they are more worthy of their friendship. The alchemy hall in the Donglan City Lord's mansion has always looked down on them as ascended cultivators. A group of people were talking, and suddenly the immortal energy outside was surging, and the thunder rumbled, which alerted many monks to come out to check. Leng Su is also the same, and this kind of movement is too familiar to her. It was not like this when she broke through to the Earth Immortal stage, so she asserted before she found out, "This is someone who is advancing to transcend the calamity, it is the Earth Immortal." Robbery, to actually transcend robbery in such a place. "Captain, are they crossing the robbery outside?" The thunder clearly came from outside, not from this communication station. "That's right, and the location is a little far away. When the people here rush past, it may be over soon." Leng Su also admired the audacity of this tribulation cultivator. The innkeeper was also very surprised. Could it be that a cultivator at their exchange station was about to break through, so he went out to find a place to escape the calamity? The protective cover here can't stand the bombardment of thunder tribulation. He didn't hesitate to look in the direction of the yard where the three of Guyao lived. It was strange that the movement did not attract the three people in the retreat, and their retreat this time was long enough. The shopkeeper did not know that there was no one in the yard at all. The people who lived in it changed their appearances and went out quietly after the 50-year period, looking for a suitable place to transcend the calamity. Donglan City, where there are more powerful monks, is not necessarily a safe place. On the contrary, in this starry sky, it is easy to cause the eye of the storm. When they went out, in addition to changing faces, they also revealed their true cultivation. In the past 50 years, in addition to Qi Changai's progress, Su Chen also advanced to the late stage of human immortals, and Guyao was the peak of human immortals, so these three the cultivators swaggered away from the exit, and no one could think of the three people whose cultivation was in the middle stage of human beings. Transmigration, First-Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 567. Although the communication station can also sense the movement of the catastrophe, but there is actually a long distance in the past, plus it is only the Earth Immortal catastrophe, so there are not many monks who really go out to watch the catastrophe. If it is the Immortal catastrophe, it is estimated that the monks in the exchange station will be dispatched collectively. The innkeeper was not interested. Although Leng Su and her team members expressed surprise, they didn't want to spend the energy to run out. If you have the energy, you should save up to hunt the star beasts. The heavenly robbery has been splitting for a few days, and the meteorites under Qi Changai's feet have been cut in half. Guyao and Su Chen, who are guarding in the starry sky, are staring nervously, and have to guard against the chaos of the monks who come one after another. Although if they make a move, they will stir themselves into the catastrophe and taste the taste of being struck by lightning, but who can guarantee that they will not be crazy? Before, they also saved up immortal stones and bought an immortal array in the largest shop in the exchange station. Now they can at least block one bad guy. Some monks who came from the exchange station recognized the monks under the robbery, showing an incredible look. How could it be them? They are not talents. He got stuck halfway through his words, because he himself knew that what his eyes saw might not be the truth, it was just their own habitual thinking that a cultivator who had just ascended not long ago had the potential to be considered a good mid-person immortal. Where do you think that others will hide their strength? In fact, it should be the peak of human beings before. Thinking of this, the man gasped, but other people didn't know him, so they all asked. The cultivator thought about it and said, "Aren't you curious about what the alchemist who has been in the exchange station looks like for decades?" One of those three. When they left the exchange station, the three of them just used Xianyuan power to change their appearances a little. Now that Qi Change Eye was hacked by Lei Ji, the Xianyuan force used to maintain the disguise naturally dissipated, but it didn't show their true appearance. In fact, this is also intentional. This has caused another discussion. The idea is the same as the monk. These three people, one is breaking through the tribulation, one is the peak of the human fairy, and the other is the late stage of the human fairy. Where does it match the characters of the previous three ascending monks? If it is really these three people, then the talent potential of the ascended cultivator is too scary. Half a month later, the clouds in the starry sky cleared, and the rain fell on Qi Changjai. The monks who saw him split the thunder with a sword no longer doubted his potential and strength. It's too easy, others were slashed all over the body when they crossed the calamity. Even if he absorbs the rain, he will have to go back to recuperate for a while before he can return to his best state, but once the man has absorbed the rain, the scars on his body will disappear. Originally, someone wanted to take advantage of Qi Changfang Duji's injury, but it was obvious that he was hesitant, and some monks stepped forward to greet Guyao Su Chen, mainly because they were not sure who the two were alchemists. Certainly not. I don't know if the alchemist is. Su Chen introduced himself generously, "I'm Alchemist Su, this is the ancient alchemist, do you need alchemy? All elixir of human level, middle level and high level can be tried, first come, first served." Everyone heard Yaran, it was not one alchemist, but two. It seems that these three ascension cultivators have a lot of background, otherwise it is possible that they have learned alchemy as soon as they ascended, and they must have inherited it in the lower realm. Bar. The cultivator who recognized them first gritted his teeth and said, "I have 3 pairs of high-level materials here." Su Chen smiled and said, "Okay." The cultivator hurriedly sent the materials to Su Chen, for fear that he would regret it if he was one step later. After all, it took him a lot of time to collect these 3 pairs of immortal grass, and he was preparing to use it to advance to the peak of human immortality. Will the two alchemists continue to stay in the exchange station? Someone asked, waiting for the first wave of experimenters to get the medicinal pills. If they pass the quality test, they will be able to follow the orders, and they don't want to take too much risk. Guyao smiled and said, "Wait until my Dao companion's cultivation base is consolidated." This is good, which means that he will not leave in a short time, and the cultivation base of the early Earth Immortal must be closed for at least a year or 2 or even longer to consolidate it. When the 3 of Guyao returned to the exchange station, the news about them had spread everywhere, and the shopkeeper in the inn couldn't believe his ears. Was it possible? Impossible, obviously the 3 of them are still staying in the inn. That's what he told himself, but when the 3 of Guyao came to the inn to greet the shopkeeper's mouth was wide open and his eyes widened. This was actually true. "So it's really you," a cold voice came from behind, and the 3 of Guyao looked back and really knew each other. "Captain Leng, I didn't expect to see you here," Su Chen said with blinking eyes. Leng Su walked out of the crowd with a few team members with a rare smile on her face, and the team members around her remained shocked. Leng Su said, "I also didn't expect that when we parted from Donglan City 50 years ago, I would see you here again, and Daoichi has already been promoted to Earth Immortal, so the 2 Daoist friends are not bad." The team members around her slowed down a little, accepting this tragic and cruel reality, and it was not bad. 50 years after they ascended, they have become Earth Immortals. They have worked hard, and most of them are still in the stage of human immortals. Even Leng Su has spent nearly 1,000 years to become Earth Immortals. Glancing at her, there were actually quite a few forces who wanted to recruit her, but Leng Su still chose to stay in the hunting team. Su Chen laughed, "Fuck, luck, "Captain Leng, why don't you come and sit in our yard?" Leng Su said, "It is better to obey orders than to be respectful." This is exactly what she wants. The elixir masters at the peak of the human immortal and the late human immortal are more valuable. The shopkeeper, "I met a friend, and we'll talk about it later," Su Chen Chong said to the shopkeeper. Okay, no problem, I'll ask the guys to send you some tea and fruit to entertain your friends." The shopkeeper's face was also full of smiles, and the treatment of these three people immediately increased, although he knew that these three people would not staying at the exchange station for a long time, but more time is also beneficial to him. The three of Guyao invited Captain Leng and the team members who accompanied her into the rented courtyard. Now they no longer have the aura of the Ascension Pool, so those team members looked at them with strange expressions. If it weren't for 50 years ago having seen them in Donglan City, the ghosts believed that they had just ascended for 50 years. Leng Su didn't say anything more about their cultivation status. The greater the potential, the greater the benefits of making friends with them, so straight to the point, I asked if I could invite 2 alchemists to make alchemy. Yes, Su Chen admitted on the spot that there were 2 of them. The news of the immortal alchemist came back long ago, that is, at that time, Leng Su became more and more sure that these 3 monks were not the 3 they had met in Donglan City. Guyao and Su Chen will not refuse to come. They will definitely leave this place after Qi Changjai's cultivation base is consolidated, so naturally the more immortal stones they have on their bodies, the better. Rank pills can now receive orders for high-level pills, which means more rewards. Leng Su did not expect that this would be easy to achieve his goal, and the negotiated remuneration was much lower than those of the elixir masters in Donglan City. For a team like them, they could save more if they could. So Leng Su also reciprocated. "The Howling Tigers who had invited you back then spent a lot of time with you after you left, and then it's gone if there is no news. Now that the answer is known, these 3 people are likely to leave the city after leaving the mission hall. It may be unbelievable to change to other ascension cultivators, but at that time, Qi Changjai was already at the peak of human beings and immortals, and they could really come out and make a fortune." Leng Su himself came out when he was in the middle stage of human beings and immortals. "Howling tigers? That big fool," Su Chen sneered. Leng Su is also funny when he thinks about it now. By the way, there is another thing that is rather strange. We have been in Donglan City for a long time, so we have met some people from the 3 religions and 9 ranks, so I heard one thing. There is a disciple of the section let people inquire about the whereabouts of the Ascension cultivator. Regardless of his name or identity, this Ascension cultivator seems to be the same name as the ancient alchemist. When I first learned about this, the ancient alchemists and you have not yet ascended. This is the strangest thing about her. Could it be that Guyao and the others offended the monks in the immortal realm when they were in the lower realm? Now Guyao and Su Chen blinked together. Are they the 2 guys from the 7 Stars Immortal sect? After so long, you still don't give up asking about them? Is it a disciple of the 7 Stars Immortal sect? Is the 7 Stars Immortal sect far from Donglan City? Sure enough, he met the cultivator who asked about them from behind, otherwise how would he know it was from the 7-star Immortal sect? The cultivators who had just ascended did not know about the 7-star Immortal sect, but the 7-star Immortal sect was really far away from them. Leng Su smiled and said, "It is the disciple of the 7-star Immortal sect, but the 3 fellow deists can rest assured that the 7-star Immortal sect is too far away from us, and we can't reach Donglan City, not to mention the strength of fellow deist Qi. Even if the disciple comes in person, he may not be able to get a good deal from fellow deist Qi." Next, Leng Su explained the general territory of the fairy world for them. Donglan City is under the jurisdiction of City Lord Qiao, and hundreds of cities and forces, including City Lord Qiao and Donglan City, are all under the command of Biaoxiu Xianjun. Snow Immortal Palace, and 7-star Immortal sect is within the jurisdiction of Xianhuan Palace. Although it is adjacent to Biaoxiu Immortal Lord's territory, if the disciple's cultivation base is limited, it is not an easy thing to come over in person. It turns out that, thank you Captain Leng for telling me. Chi Changjai clasped his fists and said, in fact, after they came out of the ascension pool, they didn't care much about Wenfan and Genyan, even if they came in person. Chi Changjai was confident when they fought, all they could rely on was their sect background. Back then, Bigo and Jianyang said that their cultivation bases from the immortal realm were all at the peak of human immortals, because the space channel is more beneficial for those with lower cultivation bases. Obviously, human immortals are safer than Earth immortals, so they chose people. At the peak of the immortals, the threat that could absolutely suppress them in the level at the beginning no longer existed after they came to the immortal world, even if the two had broken through and advanced to Earth immortals. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 568. Before leaving, Leng Su also said something, that is, an alchemist from Piaoxiu Immortal Palace will come to Donglan City. Ju said that this alchemist and City Lord Chiao are friends, and he was invited by City Lord Chiao. There was a rumor that after this alchemist came to Donglan City, he might recruit a few good alchemists in Donglan City to bring back to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. I remember that when I met with 3 fellow Taoists 50 years ago, the Dantang of the City Lord's mansion happened to recruit a group of alchemy boys. I didn't know it at the time, but later I learned that it was actually to prepare for the arrival of the alchemist. At that time, the ancient alchemist Su might be able to stand out from those alchemists. At that time, 2 people in our team also signed up for the selection, but unfortunately they were selected at the last minute. People are more willing to use local monks, and it is not easy for ascension monks to learn the magic of the fairy world. Leng Su said this to give Dantang face. In fact, in Donglan City, except for the City Lord's mansion, those local families are not weak. As far as she knows, some families have already reached a tacit agreement with Dantang in private, and want to keep their own family. This is an advantage that ascension cultivators do not have. As for the alchemists in the alchemy hall of the City Lord's mansion, none of them came from ascension monks. From this, it can be imagined that the ascension monks were excluded from the power class by the local monks, which greatly increased the difficulty of obtaining cultivation resources. After sending off Leng Su and her team members, Gu Yao and Su Chen looked at each other. Would you like to meet them? That must be necessary, count the time, they should return to Donglan City by then. However, they also knew from the cold words that the ascended cultivator was in a difficult situation. Gu Yao and Su Chen did not expect to win the favor of the alchemist. Chi Changjai went to retreat to consolidate their cultivation. Su Chen and Gu Yao took the order to concoct pills to earn immortal stones. Originally, their pills were sold through the inn shopkeeper, but now there is no need for this. I will leave one day. Instead of offending me, it is better to have a good relationship. How can they pressure these 3 people to go through his channel? When the first cultivator was notified to get the medicinal pill, he was surrounded by the cultivators who had been waiting for a long time when he came out. Getting the medicinal pill meant success. How is the quality of the pills? The monk was crazy, haha, they are all middle grades, none of them are low grades, the 2 alchemists are really good at alchemy. He regretted that he didn't bring more immortal herbs, and regretted that he didn't have the opportunity to hoard more elixir. With this wave of publicity, Gu Yao and Su Chen certainly did not have to worry about not being able to receive orders, and the inn shopkeeper even secretly asked people to send immortal grass. Come on, this last moment must be seized. After a while, Leng Su's medicinal pills were also in hand. As soon as they got them back, they were surrounded by the team members. Leng Su piled the medicinal pills and jade bottles on the table. You can see for yourself. So there were exclamations from time to time. Those first level and high level elixir appeared high grade, and high level was medium grade. After the exclamation, there is also a voice of regret. I knew that I would buy more immortal grass and bring it here. If these immortal pills are brought back to Donglan City, you can make a lot of immortal stones in one hand. Others joked, take it down, we have to keep these medicinal pills for our own use, otherwise we will spend more immortal stones to buy medicinal herbs after changing hands. And these medicinal herbs are much better than what we bought. Of course, good things must be kept for their own use. Seeing the strength of the three, these monks, especially the ascended monks, have greatly improved their enterprising spirit. Leng Su waved his hand and said, of course we have to keep these medicinal herbs, and we have to purchase more immortal herbs when we return to Donglan City. I have left the contact information for Gu Alchemist and the others. When they return to Donglan City, you can invite 2 more alchemists to make alchemy. With this said, the team members are all happy. Yes, they can be invited to make alchemy in the future, which will save them a lot of immortal stones. The supplies had been replenished long ago. In order to wait for this batch of medicinal pills, Leng Su and the others stayed at the exchange station for a while, so they came to say goodbye to Gu Yao and the others soon after, and agreed to reunite in Donglan City. The fame of Gu Yao and Su Chen spread, and the team that hunted star beasts in the starry sky made a special trip to this exchange station, just to invite Gu Yao and Su Chen and the others to make alchemy. The merchants were all delighted. There are many people who are asking for pills, which means that more and more immortal stones are flowing into their hands. Because of the long time and the promotion of Qi Changjai, the star thieves who have given up the idea of robbing them have picked up this idea again. Some teams even united, preparing to make a big vote and then stay away from this exchange station. When the day came to pick up the pills, Gu Yao and Su Chen gave them a fixed date, and they would not be entertained outside of this time. Alchemy masters are all temperamental, and the better the alchemy technique, the greater the temper, so cultivators who ask for alchemy consciously abide by it. But this time, they didn't see the formation in the yard open. They knocked for a while and no one came out, so they found the innkeeper. The shopkeeper was amazed and vaguely guessed something, so after calling wheelmen, after a fairy tactic was played, the fairy formation in the yard really stopped running. This is what happens after the owner of the yard leaves. The shopkeeper was more certain of his guess, the cultivator inside had quietly left, just like going out to transcend the calamity last time, without disturbing anyone. In fact, even the shopkeeper himself cannot avoid being jealous of the gains of the 2 alchemists during this period of time, so the star thieves who come and go here are not only jealous, but also have the idea of their net worth. In this case, of course, they will choose to leave quietly. Immediately after the immortal formation was closed, a light group flew to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper knew that this was a message left by the 3 of them. After listening, he opened the door and went in. Don't, but leave all your medicinal pills in it, and I will fetch them for you. There was a row of jade bottles on the table in the main hall, with labels on them, and what kind of medicinal pill was it for? If you say goodbye, you may not have the chance to meet these 3 ascension monks again in the future. It is conceivable that as long as they survive, their future achievements are incomparable to these monks. The cultivators who got their own pills also put down their hearts, but then they regretted it. It is not easy to find such good pill masters. Those pill masters in Donglan City Pill Hall do not look down on them. The news quickly spread throughout the exchange station, so the monks who were watching the fun really found that many monks had run outside, but no one knew that the 3 had been gone for a few days, and in which direction they were walking, but there is one point. For sure, after they left, they must have gone to Donglan City, maybe they were on the only way to Donglan City, maybe they could really meet them. As for whether they can rob or not, it depends on their own abilities. Gu Yao and the others would not underestimate the greed of the monks, so after the orders were stabilized, they deliberately implemented the practice of taking orders on a fixed date, in preparation for leaving the exchange station when they left the customs late at night. For half a month, when the first batch of cultivators took the medicinal pills and the next batch of cultivators left the immortal herbs, The two checked and found that these medicinal herbs were in stock, so after releasing the medicinal herbs, they decided to reapply and hide them. The breath changed its appearance, and dispersed to the exit. The entrance and exit are only for collecting immortal stones, who cares who leaves, although some people asked them to stare at Guyao and the three, but they couldn't see through the disguise of the three. So when several monks from the exchange station chased them out, the three had already left the exchange station for half a month, and they had no idea of changing their route at all. They just followed the map obtained at the exchange station, showing the shortest and safest route. On the way, they also went to hunt and kill the star beasts marked on the route. In the past 50 years, they have been staying in the exchange station without moving their nests except for the calamity. Not to mention whether they need to exercise or not, even they have itchy hands themselves. The purpose of earning immortal stones is secondary, and exercise is the key point. Right now, in each person's storage ring, there are hundreds of thousands of immortal stones, as well as a pile of medicinal herbs, which can really rob them successfully. No matter which star thief team it is undoubtedly a huge sum of money. After learning about the main star thief gangs, Chi Changjai actually hoped that these star thieves would come to his door to let him practice, and then fight back. Can't let Xiao keep him all the time, right? They had just hunted down a group of star beasts, and the leader of them was at the early stage of the prey. The three who took the prey did not immediately return to Xianchuo, but stood in the starry sky and looked at the void in the distance. Come out. When they hunted the star beasts, they noticed that someone was hiding in the distance, and they thought they could not escape the perception of the three of them. If they went to the exchange station, maybe they would give up the star beasts and turn around immediately. Leave. However, when there were enough immortal stones and enough elixir to supplement the immortal energy, Chi Changjai left more energy to deal with them. Sure enough, two immortal shuttles emerged, blocking their way one by one and the other on the right. If they didn't find out in advance, they would most likely crash into the formation trap they set up. A cultivator flew out from the immortal shuttle. The three of them swept their eyes and raised their brows slightly. It was a coincidence. This person was He Chiang, the leader of a group of star thieves who came out to catch the murderer. He Chiang's body looks very thin, but those eyes reveal his temperament, and he is a grumpy person. This guy hasn't shown up for a while, but the news not long ago was that he accidentally broke into a secret place during the escape process, got a bottle of elixir in the secret place, and after coming out, he was promoted from the early stage of the Earth Immortal to the Earth. The middle period of sense. As soon as He Chiang was promoted, he included the group of star thieves who had been bothering him before, and of course the leader was removed by him. It is normal for star thief gangs to fight and kill each other. He Chiang's eyes were full of fierceness. 50 years ago, my brothers died at your hands. Today, I want you to pay for my brothers. Huh, Su Chen said in surprise, how do you know it died in our hands? He Chiang and his group of subordinate star thieves trembled fiercely, but they really died at their hands. He Chiang just casually made an excuse to rob. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 569. Seeing the other party's expression, Su Chen feigned anger. Okay, it turned out to be a random excuse, and dared to deceive us. Since that's the case, I'll send you to the underworld to meet your accomplices. Chi Changjai, go up. Chi Changjai glanced helplessly at Su Chen, who was pretending to be so pretentious. The fighting intent he just mentioned, if he messed it up like this, might have to dissipate most of it. Is Su Chen really not a pig teammate? Gu Yao quickly tugged at Su Chen's sleeve and whispered, Senior, it's too fake, hurry up and put it away. I don't know if the senior remembered the scene when he acted in the past and wanted to play it, When he would think that the senior really couldn't see the other party as an excuse for nonsense. Su Chen glared at Gu Yao, not to expose it like this. Those star thieves will be so angry that one Buddha was born and two Buddhas ascended to heaven, and they will kill the three of them with blood in their heads. No matter how helpless Qi Changjai is, at this moment, they also raise their swords to face He Qiang, the leader of this group of star thieves, and kill the others. Leave it to Gu Yao and Su Chen to deal with it? Those star thieves are not completely confused. Among the three, Qi Changjai is an early Earth Immortal monk, and the remaining two are still not at hand, so they are shameless and that Earth Immortal middle stage He Qiang. Besieging Qi Changjai, I wanted to loot and leave in the shortest possible time, so that no one else would come and the victory from them. The rest attacked Gu Yao and Su Chen, not wanting them to help. Gu Yao sneered, it turned out that only the cubs were helping outside, and now it is impossible not to call MOU, it's up to you. In this empty starry sky, a large group of dark green plants suddenly appeared, and they expanded outward at a very fast speed. The root tentacles were waving in the starry sky, looking extremely ferocious, and where the tentacles passed, they soon filled the fog opened up, causing great obstacles to their consciousness and sight. It is a hindrance to the enemy, but it is different for their own people. The cubs flexibly jumped into the fog and cooperated with Moyo's actions. There were screams and scolding from time to time in the fog. The monks who besieged Qi Changjai, except for the leader. All were dragged into the mist by the tentacles. Gu Yao and Su Chen also got into the fog together, and the ink jade was still spreading out, covering more and more area, and finally swallowed the two immortal shuttles that were parked on the periphery, leaving behind the immortal shuttle. The cultivator is the weakest, never thought it would be like this. Situation. Ah! What the is this shit? What is this sticky liquid? When he was in the spirit world, he found messy things for MOU to devour. The originally mutated C-zone had long since become a different plant. After arriving in the immortal world, in the exchange station, Gu Yao did not forget to feed the two little. Gu Yao also made an astonishing discovery, that is, the violent energy in the starry sky has no effect on Moyu, so the reason why it can expand so much now is also related to the absorption of energy from the outside while it expands. It is not controlled by the owner, maybe it is placed in this starry sky, either by monks and creatures in the starry sky, or it will grow into a behemoth in this starry sky sooner or later, a very terrifying existence. The appearance and change of MOU shocked the confident He Qiang, especially the screams that came from the fog later, which made him even more unbelievable. Yes, what is this? These three guys are clearly pretending to be pigs and eating tigers, and their strength is much stronger than they thought. If these three guys really killed his subordinates 50 years ago, then it would not have been a wise move for them to come here to rob him this time, because 50 years ago, Qi Changjai, a sword cultivator, had not yet broken through to the Earth Immortal. But among those who died, there were three early Earth Immortals. He Qiang's face changed greatly. His opponent's sword was sharper than the other, and the more he fought, the stronger he was. He couldn't help but give birth to the heart of retreat. As long as he is alive, he can gather another group of star thieves. He Qiang wanted to retreat as soon as he thought about it, but Qi Changjai didn't allow him to run away. The dense sword Qi blocked the surrounding space. No matter which direction he ran, he would be attacked by the sword Qi, which seemed to be endless. I fought with you, He Qiang said angrily. He would be afraid of this guy who just entered the Earth Immortal middle stage. All the sword energy gathered in the center at this moment, and instantly condensed into a dazzling sword that could penetrate the starry sky, and slashed towards He Qiang. At that moment, it seemed that the entire starry sky was also split in half by this sharp sword. Somewhere in the starry sky, there is a luxurious Xianchuo traveling fast. There is Xianquan rockery on the Xianchuo. There are two monks drinking each other next to the Xianquan. Suddenly, the two of them looked in a certain direction and flew out to feel it. A moment. What an amazing sword energy. Which sword cultivator came to such a place? This sword chi has amazing destructive power. It's not the sword cultivators we know well, either from outside or just recently. This place is very close to Donglan City. It seems that we need to ask City Lord Chiao if there are any talented people under his rule. They were far enough away, so the two of them didn't want to go to watch. When they went, that Jiangziu might have already left, but the breath left a deep impression on them, and they wanted to try to find people out. There were also two monks on the Xianchuo, who also looked at the direction of the sword chi with confusion, but quickly put it aside. How could it be possible? Because of the departure of Guyao and the three of them, the exchange station was much quieter, and the number of pedestrians on the street was greatly reduced. The inn clerk chatted with the shopkeeper. Can Alchemist Gu and the others return to Donglan City smoothly? The shopkeeper sighed and shook his head. I don't know either, but not everyone wants to rob them. No matter how you look at it, the two living elixir masters are more valuable. If I were them, I would take the two elixir. Master, please go back, so that there will be a steady supply of medicinal herbs, haha. Speaking of which, the shopkeeper himself became happy. Of course, he dared to think about it. If Chi Changjai, who has the highest potential, escaped, he would wait for this guy to grow up and come back for revenge, so the shopkeeper also moved. Thought, but did not dare to implement it into action. Anyone who can get along well in this place is not soft-hearted. Suddenly, a monk jumped into the air and shouted loudly, and the voice spread throughout the communication station. Big news, shocking news, He Chiang and his star thief gang were all wiped out, and He Chiang himself fell into it. What? You speak clearly. In the blink of an eye, dozens of figures also jumped into the air and surrounded the monk. Even the shopkeeper and the clerk couldn't help but ran over to ask clearly, why didn't He Chiang go to rob the three of the ancient alchemists? Who killed him? Haha, it's the ancient alchemists who have been with us for 50 years. He Chiang died in the hands of that early earth immortal sword cultivator. Many people saw it from a distance. You can't think of it? Fuck. Really fake. For a while, the crowd kept shouting, and they could hardly believe the news, but soon, one after another news came in, all of which explained that He Chiang and his party were wiped out by the three ascended cultivators. Such an amazing record it has not appeared in this starry sky for a long time. In a short period of time, the wind has changed, and many people are shameless in praising others. Let's just say, people have just been promoted to Earth Immortal after 50 years of ascension, and there is not even 1 in 100,000 people with such aptitude. It is simply blessed by nature. What kind of a soft egg is He Chiang, even if he is promoted to the middle stage of Earth Immortal? Now, it can't change the fact that he is a soft egg. His subordinates have changed so many times, and he is greedy for life and fears death and escapes alone every time. This time, let's fall, haha. I heard that He Chiang's original subordinates died in the hands of Qi Jiangziu and the others. That was 50 years ago, haha. He Chiang died not wrongly, and now he is reunited with his subordinates in the underworld. Oh, I should have asked Qi Jiangziu and Gu Alchemist Su Alchemy if they wanted to take over. I am optimistic about them, and they will definitely soar to the sky in the future. Bah! You didn't say that before, and you said that no matter how good the talent is, what's the use of it? You have to die in the hands of the star thieves. How can you change your mind now? The shopkeeper also got the news from the forces behind him, and it was confirmed that He Chiang died in the hands of the sword cultivator Chi Changjai. At the same time, the two alchemists were also very good at fighting. If there is a chance, try to make friends with them. 3 ascended monks. The shopkeeper stood in mid-air, looking at the starry sky outside, and pointed at the guys around him. Look, this time, He Chiang didn't kill Daiochi and the others. From now on, he will be happy to deist Chi and Master Gu. For Chen Dan and the others, it means that the fish enters the sea, and the sky is high enough for the birds to fly. The man pouted, no matter how nice you are, the shopkeeper, Gu alchemist, they can't hear them. I remember that the shopkeeper was not very optimistic about them before. Bah! Do you want to mess with me? The shopkeeper is right. Everything the shopkeeper is right. After solving Heqiang, the mid-earth immortal, the next journey of the three of Guyao will be much smoother. This can be regarded as an example to the monkey. Unless the self-confidence is stronger than Heqiang's group of star thieves, who can avoid it late? The sword of the night? Of course, the things on Heqiang's gang of star thieves have become their trophies, and even if they are not poor now, they cannot be wasted. The closer they are to Donglan City, the more peaceful the road will be. They have the time to sort out the spoils this time. Guyao and the others were pleasantly surprised by the wealth in Heqiang's storage ring alone. There were more than 300,000 immortal stones. Sure enough, compared to alchemy, it was faster to eat black immortal stones. Su Chen was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. I remembered, where did the immortal stones on this guy come from, you forget? This guy just collected another group of star thieves, and most of these immortal stones are likely to be searched. Here. If you look at it this way, these star thieves are not particularly rich. Guyao immediately said, I know this, I heard from the guy in the inn that the star thieves here are small things, because the resources here are too poor, some big star thieves gangs, and earth immortals are included in it. It's nothing, the leader may be an immortal or even an immortal. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 570. In addition to the Big Pen Immortal Stone, there are also immortal pills and a bunch of messy things. What interests Guyao and Su Chen is that there is a bottle of immortal Wandan in it. This kind of medicine pill can help cultivators advance to the middle stage of Earth Immortal. It can be seen that 2 pills have been used in this bottle. It seems that the rumors are true. This Heqiang did break into a secret realm and got something good in it. This medicine pill has been stored for a long time. It's not newly refined, and it's all middle grade. Haha, this Heqiang may want to bring this medicine pill to Donglan City and sell it. Su Chen chuckled, this guy who wanted to die, if he hadn't died under Qi Changjai's sword, he could have made a fortune with these 4 pills, it's just that he was too greedy. Guyao nodded, I guess his subordinates don't know that he still has medicinal pills in his hand. Hey, what is this? Guyao was sorting out the pile of debris and rummaging through it to find a stone with an unknown texture. He almost threw the stone aside, but the texture on the stone gave him a strange feeling. Su Chen and Qi Changjai took turns to look at it, and tried other methods, especially when Qi Changjai's sword energy couldn't leave scratches on the stone. The 3 paid more attention and let Guyao keep it. There is also this booklet, which records several pill recipes, which are not in the jade slip. Su Chen found another good thing, and they all used the beast core of the star beast as the main medicine is refined. Guyao turned his head to take a look. These kinds of medicinal pills are really good. Look at this. This medicinal pill can make the Earth Immortal cultivator take a small step, and it will fall back after an hour. If you don't get it in time. In addition, monks will have a period of weakness for 1 month, and after this, I have written down a few medicinal pills that can help make up for the side effect. Guyao and Su Chen glanced at each other, and they both laughed. This pill recipe was too useful for them, and the 2 turned to look at Qi Changjai. Now Qi Changjai can leapfrog the middle stage of Earth Immortal. If you take this elixir, you should be able to fight against Earth Immortal in the later stage. Don't underestimate this small order. For ordinary cultivators, a small order difference is also a level of suppression, and it takes thousands of years or even longer to break through. It is the same level, such as the monks who have just entered the Earth Immortal beginning and the monks who have accumulated hundreds of thousands of years at this stage. Can they be compared? The reason why the three of them were able to advance so quickly before was also the reason why the ascension liquid accumulated in their bodies continued to function. Otherwise, there would be no chance for the three of them to jump a small step within 50 years. Chi-Chang-I glanced at the two of them helplessly, and had to say, well, if you work hard to refine this medicine pill, then we can be a little more secure. It is his duty to protect Guyao, and for the sake of Guyao's face, he will barely protect Su Chen. However, the material requirements for this pill recipe are also relatively high. It is said that the beast core needs at least a middle-level star beast core. They only found a middle-level beast core in Heqiang's storage ring. There are also a few beginner-level ones. It can be seen that the Earth-level star beasts are not so easy to hunt. Even if they only hunted down the low-level star beasts at the ground level, and they wanted to hunt down the middle-level star beasts at the ground level, they would probably encounter more than one, so Chi-Chang-I didn't take this risk, and was worried that they would not take care of Guyao. And Su Chen, if he is the only one, this risk can still be taken. Donglan City was just ahead. They packed up their things, got off the Xianzhuo, and flew towards the city entrance. 50 years ago, I passed by this Donglan City, and I came back 50 years later. This time I have the opportunity to take a good look at the city and get in touch with the monks in the fairyland. Once the Ascension cultivator enters the Earth Immortal, it can be regarded as a firm foothold on this land, and even the local cultivator cannot be despised. After all, the city Lord Chiao is also the pinnacle of the Earth Immortal. When entering the city, in addition to handing over the immortal stones, they also need to check the identity card. The three of them played a trick and used someone else's identity card. There is a pile of debris. Monk. In addition to using a fake identity card, the cultivation base will be pressed to the late stage of the immortal. The three of them were released quickly, without causing any suspicion from others, but if they used their identity cards, it is very likely that the news of their entry into the city would be sold to interested people in the next moment. Not long after the three of Guyao entered the city, a gorgeous immortal shuttle appeared above Donglan City, and a vigorous cultivator flew out from the city master's mansion with a large number of people to welcome the distinguished guests on the immortal shuttle. Guyao and the three were surprised when they saw the team of cultivators flying through the sky. At first glance, Earth Immortals accounted for most of the team. Which force in Donglan City has such a strong strength? They soon found out the result. The cultivator who took the lead, who looked like a middle-aged scribe, was the city lord Qiao Shuangfeng. The cultivators around were excited and eager to go up and pay their respects. The three of them looked at each other and remembered what Leng Su had mentioned to them. Could it be that the alchemist from the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace is here? Otherwise, the Labor City Master will personally lead the team out to meet him, at least as much as this alchemist. I guess it is. Let's go first. Chi-Chang-I glanced at it, grabbed Guyao's hand and walked to a place with few people, but his eyes lit up with fighting intent. The pinnacle of Earth Immortal? But it was only a point that he had to cross on the way to practice. Guyao and Su Chen also left without nostalgia. Donglan City is just a starting point for them to come to the immortal realm, so there is no need to pay too much attention to the city Lord Chiao. With this time, it would be better to find Leng Su to learn more about the situation in Donglan City. This time, when they came back to Donglan City, the three of them rented a training cave with a lot of money and paid the rent for a year. The immortal energy here is indeed much stronger than that of the exchange station. After settling down, the three contacted Leng Su, and it was necessary to keep in touch with her. Although Leng Su looked fierce and ruthless and seemed to be famous in Donglan City, Leng Su still tried his best to see the essence through appearance. Take care of the Ascension cultivator, otherwise, he would not have asked Guyao and the three in the mission hall if they wanted to join her team. Leng Su has the potential to become a local snake in Donglan City. This is the ascension place of the spiritual cultivator where they are, so in the future, it is very likely that she will be asked to help take care of their friends who have ascended. On the other hand, City Lord Chiao welcomed Xianchuo's party into the guest house of the City Lord's mansion, and arranged the best guest house for the group to stay in. After that, he went to see alchemist Rui alone. Is only one step away from being promoted to heavenly immortal, but some people may not be able to make it in their entire lives. Brother Rui, I finally see you again. It's been 2000 years since we said goodbye last time. Haha, Brother Chiao, I think you, the city lord of Donglan City, are sitting comfortably enough. I have heard your reputation elsewhere. Chiao Shuangfeng laughed. It's not because of your help, Brother Rui, you have to stay in my Donglan City for a while this time, so that you can see the scenery of our Donglan City. Okay, it's better to be respectful than to obey, just listen to Brother Chiao's arrangement. When Chiao Shuangfeng first came to Donglan City to take office, it was only in the late stage of the Earth Immortal. If he stayed in the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, it would be difficult to have a chance to succeed. Therefore, in order to sit on the position of Donglan City Lord, Chiao Shuangfeng really it took a lot of work. There is a saying that it is better to be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix, and there is a certain truth in placing it in the fairyland. Staying in the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, the competition is fierce. A cultivator like Chiao Shuangfeng who has no special strength and is not top-notch, the resources that can fall on him are also limited. The industry provided him with cultivation, so it didn't take long for him to enter the peak of the Earth Immortal, and now he has the opportunity to break into the Heavenly Immortal. This level requires the cooperation of Miao Danqi. Therefore, no matter how expensive it was, Chiao Shuangfeng had to invite alchemist Rui. The two were polite, and Chiao Shuangfeng took out a few boxes from his storage ring. After alchemist Rui saw the items in the boxes, he also revealed with a satisfied smile, everything is silent. Donglan City is very big, so after contacting Leng Su, they agreed to meet the next day. On the second day, Leng Su came alone. When she knocked on the restaurant box and saw three unfamiliar faces, she was slightly taken aback, but she quickly realized it. Station, who went out to transcend the calamity, presumably left the exchange station this time and used the same method. As for whether returning to Donglan City will reveal his identity, I often hunted star beasts outside, and I also had a lot of dealings with star thieves. So she stepped in quickly and closed the door of the box behind her, which showed her trust in the three. Although the contact time was limited, the three of Guyao could also see that this Leng Su cultivator was a person who did things in a big way, and the local cultivators around her were also very convinced and supportive of her. Captain Leng, please take a seat. The three of them showed a slight breath, and Leng Su was able to determine their respective identities. After sitting down, Leng Su smiled and said, I've heard of your feats outside. I want to say, you did a good job. If there is a chance, I will kill that surnamed he myself. A hunting team like them hated the star thieves in the starry sky the most, that is, Leng Su. They have also fallen into a lot of troubles in the hands of these star thieves. The experience is accumulated over and over again. Guyao said in surprise, the news spread so quickly. Everyone knows it here. Leng Su said, our team has eyeliner outside, so we can report the news quickly. As for other teams, as long as the three deists don't take the initiative to reveal their identities, there may not be anyone who will contact you. Besides, even if they are exposed, they will not be seen. It must be a bad thing, because the identities of the two human-level high-level alchemists are much more valuable than that of He Qiang. You must know that in the alchemy hall of the city lord's mansion, many alchemists are not as good as the two alchemists. If the reputation of the two spreads to their ears, it may make some people feel bad, but the two alchemists are in a bad mood. Master and fellow deist Qi can rest assured that our ascension cultivators will not be able to protect even two alchemists in the realm of Donglan City.